Well, welcome to the Florida Daily Show. And man, have I been getting some of the hate mail coming in. As you know, I'm a free market conservative. I'm a bit of, for years, being not just being an economics reporter, but I was a political reporter, covered education a lot. And I've always told the fact, Lindsay Randall, that I became more conservative as a reporter. It's usually the opposite way around. Most guys in my business and gals usually end up becoming more left.
Yeah, why was that, Ed?
Well, I think because when you cover it and you look beyond the partisan label, I've told this 1,000 times on this radio show that the most powerful politician isn't your president, isn't your state rep, your congressman, congresswoman. It's your school board, city council, county commissioner. They can go into your backyard, into your back door, reach into your back pocket and pull money out. And you're like, what in the world just happened? And I'll give an example like Lindsay, you're very successful in the charter school industry. We're going to talk about education in a moment. I'm getting a lot of hate mail from teacher union groups, but I'll get into that in a second. But, it didn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democratic business owner when the fire marshal's telling you you can open up a seating for 150 people, then the code enforcement guy is coming in behind him going, you can only do it for 90 people. Houston, we have a problem here. So now you got to get the two parties back on board to agree. Now you got to spend more money. And I'm like, man, nobody wants to go through this. And why are we even raising the money? Where's the money going for all of this? You ever heard of the narrative? Well, Ed, when you get more people living into an area, the more government you need. I don't buy into that. I don't see people using an everyday need of the majority of citizens on their, do they need voter ID and going to register to vote because they moved from an area? Yes. Motor voter? Yes. I don't have a problem if you need to increase government there. Tax collector. But not everybody's calling 911. I'm just saying, I just don't see it there. But also when it comes to funding from these local cities, if there are more money, if there are more people moving in, how is it that you're always itching and complaining, well, we never have enough money? All right.
Well, that's always the problem.
And so this is where the conversation's going today.
So then if that was the case, then if we were really hung up on that and that actually solved the problem, then wouldn't our, let's just say, literacy rates be over like the moon? Wouldn't we be number one in the world? Meanwhile, they're abysmal every single year, and it's gotten worse since COVID. So yeah, the money and the results don't add up.
Well, that's where I'm going with this. So we just got done with the legislative session. We're finding out that Linda McMahon, who I'm a big fan of, with the Federal Department of Education. Now, follow me. We're doing federal and state. They're still looking for an increase in spending. They haven't totally obliterated the Department of Education. They're working their way out, and I appreciate that. We don't need a federal Department of Education. If you got 50 different states and 50 different education curriculums, why do I need the feds coming in? You just don't need it. And I can say that for many departments, but I'm being told that, well, Governor DeSantis properly didn't fund public education to the well, okay, fine. And somebody's, well, I'm from so-and-so school district and I'm from so-and-so union group, whatever, from a certain county here in Florida. And my response usually is, then just tell me, what do you believe the proper amount of funding should be? And tell me how much money do you believe we need per student, per child, and how much the taxpayer has to pay? Zero. They always throw up some high bogus number. And of course, that's never enough money. And then I always ask the question, we've done it on here. Well, then if I have a fewer amount of students that we have today, and by the way, this has been going on before the charter school boom and the not public, but private school boom of 2019 to 2020, whatever. Well, we have fewer amount of students today. Then why do I need more money going for education?
You have a very good question that you're pointing out. I think the last I saw from 2024, it was that eighth graders, only 30% of eighth graders in the whole country are proficient at reading.
By the way, the worst going back to the 1990s.
30%. That's insane. Also, every single year that DeSantis has been in office as governor, we, as the charter school, on the charter school board, we have to approve teacher raises. Every single year we've approved the teacher raises. So we've had to do that as a board, and that comes down from the state. So I don't really know what people are talking about. I know it's not, teachers, they are saints. They are amazing people to do what they do every single day, and they deserve to be millionaires, let's be honest. However, that's not reality. But I will say that the state legislature and the governor has been pushing this every single year. And I can attest to that because I voted for it, obviously, every single time.
This is an issue that I'm glad we got out of the business of making BS excuses of why you want to send your kid to a charter school. Remember 2020? Well, we're going to send people to Cornerstone Classical Academy. We're going to send people to this college, this charter school because they're being bullied. Well, okay, what if I'm not being bullied? I want my kids to do better. Well, so now I got to go fake up my daughter and son getting the crap, which I don't have any kids, to get the crap beat out of them so I can send my kid to our charter school. I mean, that's what we used to, I'm like, is that what it is? Stop making excuses where the money should follow the child. Now we're finding out in education. We've covered this at Florida Daily. We've covered this on my radio show that now Democrats are starting to get a little bit split with the unions because the teacher unions, as you know, Lindsay, still very popular here in the state of Florida. And now you got some Democrats going, man, I've got a lot of constituency, those in the urban communities and Black communities as well, that really parents want school choice. They see it benefiting their kids, rightfully so. The unions are against it. And yet it's quite interesting that, the unions, charter school still gets, public funding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen anything about the unions? I mean, if I was a member of the union, I'd be threatened to which I'm not. I would be threatened to unionize every charter school out there. You think they don't? They probably want to do that too, don't they?
Oh, I'm sure they do. That's not going to happen. However, I will say, so I have a friend who was a teacher in public school for, 20 years. And she didn't want to make waves. And so she just kept, union dues are just automatically taken out of their paycheck.
Correct.
So what happens is this is a couple years ago now, she tried to get out of the union and stop paying. Well, she couldn't actually get online, do a form or anything. She had to fill out a piece of paper and fax it in. Who faxes anything anymore? So she literally, she faxed, she's like, where do I have a fax machine? Oh, at school. So she faxed it from school, she told me, and she was sneaking it to fax it so she could completely get out of the union. But I mean, they make you jump through so many hoops to just get out of it, when really, shouldn't you opt into it? And then if you actually had to sign on the dotted line every single month and see that, you actually had to write a check every month, or, actually pay it every month, those dues, wouldn't you think that you would kind of think, maybe this isn't the best use of my money?
Every
right?
time we do a story at floridadaily.com on this very issue, or I do one on my radio show, I get hate mail from the unions. And by the way, when I'm in Tallahassee, I always wear a mask when I walk by the Florida Education Association, just because.
As you should,
right.
Ed.
But
you're a good man.
But I'm like, and what's kind of funny, and I don't divulge their names because I'm all about privacy when people send me emails. And the biggest complaint of teacher pay, guess who they are public school teachers, because they feel that the administration, which is top heavy, gets more money, and the unions are looking out for them, not for the people in the front lines, which goes into another argument. And I know we're all over the map, which we normally can be on these stories, is why do I need so many administrative level positions to deal with education? I mean, back in the day, and we're still very young, but back in the day, that if the principal was out in a conference, do you know who the assistant principal was? It was your high school football coach. That's all it was. And if anybody misbehaved, we called your parents, not give you a hearing at the school board meeting coming up. Now I got to have 5, by the way, which is not new. It's been going on this way for like 20, 25, 30 years. I need 5 assistant principals for the school. But if I have a fewer amount of students, now I see like South Florida, I know we're seeing it happen up in North Florida. We're starting to see schools, coincide. What's the word I want to use when you put the 2 schools together?
I don't know.
You put them together, Lindsay. You go from one school to the other, you put them together. I know my mind. So you consolidate.
Yes.
Yes.
And you close one school and you consolidate. Yes.
And then the unions will email me. Well, Ed, what do you plan to do about that school that's empty? Rent it out. You'd be surprised how much people could use to rent a building out. Religious groups, civics groups, veterans groups. I mean, if you're not going to sell it, rent out the building and make some money every month.
Or sell it. You should sell it. If it's just going to be sitting there, then that's actually worse for everybody. And then it's going to be devalued in a couple years.
Exactly. And by the way, everybody was told 10 years ago, the numbers are not there for more students going to the public school education. And yet the numbers started to slide and we still built new schools. Now, if you want to build new schools to take one from the other because of the environment, the way it's in, maybe it's over some bad drainage or whatever, it's just not healthy. I get that argument. But it's been going on that route. And yet they blame you, Lindsay. They blame the charter schools. Well, what did you blame the parents? And by the way, to all of you out there in the public school education system that religiously tells me it's still the best thing we have going on out there today, then why is there such 1-2 year waiting list for people to send their kids to charter schools, Lindsay?
That's true. I mean, we have 800 kids on our wait list and we spend $0 in advertising. And so, I mean,
How long is that waiting list, by the way, at times?
yeah,
How long?
yeah, it's 800 students and we have
How
1100.
long? How long do some of these parents are waiting to get their kids in?
I
How long
mean,
have you
for
seen
the
it?
3, 4, 5, 6 years. I mean, almost the whole entire time we've been open. So, I mean, we have people that
Lindsay,
have
the waiting time, is it like 18 months to get their kids in?
the wait list resets every single year. So they have a
Wow.
chance to do it every year, but it doesn't carry over. So people that have been on there, every single year for 3, 4 years, they have to keep re-enrolling or trying to apply every single year just to try to get a spot.
And the biggest, either one may overtake the other. It could be discipline 1 month. I'm not happy with my teacher. I'm not happy with the curriculum. I'm not happy with the results. And by the way, there is some factualness to what you said about how things have gotten better grades under Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. But I will tell you, I still got teachers that are former teachers that are saying, hey, I think this school district over here is probably inflating the numbers so it doesn't look bad. And I am 100% consistent with shutting down public schools as I am with charter schools, by the way.
Agreed.
And I don't know how many years it is now, Lindsay, because we've really revamped very quickly on what we've done. But if a charter school cannot pass the muster test, in other words, what is it, C or above, right? Or is it C plus?
Mhm.
C
No,
minus?
there's no C minus or plus.
Okay.
It's just C.
Okay. So if they don't do it after how many years, when do they get shut down? What is it?
I don't remember offhand. It's quite a few years. It takes a long time for them to get shut down. I was just talking to one of our school board members in Duval County just the other day about this. I actually think it should be faster, just because I think if they're not operating at a high degree,
Hold on. What would be significant, like 5 years? Was that what you would give them?
yeah, I would say five years max. But I mean, think about all the delay in all those years that these kids are spent in a public school they're not making the grade. So I think that it's got to be between maybe 3 to 5 years. If you're not seeing an increase in your grade, then you shouldn't deserve to
Right.
exist, because it's the kids that they're the ones suffering. I feel like that about regular public schools too. It should be the same equal playing field.
So I support that with charter schools and with public schools. I'll even go further. When there's mismanagement of money, and by the way, that could be a very broad definition. Well, the charter school, wait a second. I can tell you how many school districts are well behind on their audits, probably don't get audited properly out there. And this is the reason why I would have nothing but business people and accountants. And in fact, it's kind of an interesting debate. Who would you like to have on your school board? Parents, yes, or parents with business experience. Sometimes the business experience doesn't mean you get any better run school district as well. But if we could audit, this is where I would love to run the whole Doge effort.
Oh, that would be amazing,
Let me take
Ed.
over. I'll jump into it. And let me tell you something. I'll find you. I'll prove to you where the
Yes.
waste is. And I know we get into this argument. Well, one's trash and one's waste is another person's treasure. That may be because I told everybody last week when we were doing the show, I get more hate. Like Democrats, yeah, but I get Republicans. Don't touch my libraries. Don't touch my NPR. Okay. But when it comes to school districts and sitting here going, okay, first off, why are you asking me for the tax increase? If the only amount of money has been coming in for the many part of years due to property tax values going up, why haven't I properly kept up with my air conditioning? Why haven't I properly kept up with the venting system? Why? I don't get it. I mean, if your car fails and your car is not, it's not running all cylinders, you don't wait till all goes out and ask for a sweaty wad of money from the bank. No, you take what you have and take it in. If not, then the car becomes more expensive to fix. Why haven't we done that? Nobody ever seems to talk about that.
Yeah. What do you think the solution would be, Ed? Do you think you should go school district to school, like just in the state of Florida, take for instance? I mean, for charter schools, we have an audit every single year. We could get our charter revoked if we don't complete the audit. So that to me, that's fair. We're using taxpayer dollars to pay for our school. However, what do you think about these districts? And then the other question I would want to know from you would be, how do we also track those dollars? Because now all these private schools and homeschoolers are getting taxpayer dollars too.
Wait, back and ask those two questions again. Do it in layman's terms. You sound like a lawyer.
Okay, so one is first question, and I'll let you answer this first. First question is, how do we properly audit? How do we properly take care of the school districts just in the state of Florida?
Okay, how far do you go back for the school district?
Let's just say 5 years.
Well, hold on, that's like these auditing the Fed crowd. Well, we need to audit the Fed. Well, how far do you want to go back? I mean, seriously.
It's true.
Do you go back 5 years? I would go, to be honest with you, I would go 26. I would do 10 years leading up to COVID and then after COVID. Okay. Because school districts got to sweaty what millions in extra amount of funding on top of the funding that they already got. By the way, did any of you see your property taxes going down? No, your property value still went up even during COVID. Okay. And after the fact right now. And yet I saw school districts, by the way, Republican run counties that were jacking up your sales tax, jacking up your property tax to fund it. And yet they got millions in from COVID, heavily from 2020 on. But you've got to look at, okay, what was the pre-COVID levels and then after the COVID? Because remember, they got all this amount of money. COVID was kind of like a weird break a timeline. That's where I would probably go back and there. So what's your second question?
Okay. Second question is, how do you make sure that these funds that are going to private schools and homeschool groups and homeschoolers are actually, how do you make sure that they are actually being used properly? As a charter school, we have this audit every year. So do private schools have to do that now? I mean, I don't understand how this money isn't going to be squandered.
How many, okay, you have one big budget at your school. Like, I mean, like a county commission or like content. Discretionary, non-discretionary, and then you got these slush funds over here. Then you got Social Security and everything else. So the question is, you have a budget. Now, technically, like a gas tax is supposed to go for infrastructure, even though I've covered where, listen, I've seen cities move money around using direct, into the general revenue to move money around. They get away with it. So the question is, you got one big budget dollars that go into that. That's up to the school. Then the school has to sit back and say, this is where the money's going. You just complete an audit of that. If the amount of money shows this is what it is for fun, for school curricular activity, we're spending kids on go see the zoo. Here's the amount of money coming in for salaries. Why don't we just do it like a business? I'm saying, is it that difficult?
I guess I just worry about the fact that, there's not the same stipulations and the same standards. And so when this was passed by the Universal School Choice bill was passed several years ago by the Florida legislature, I just wondered, how is this going to help prevent the waste, fraud, and abuse that it will inevitably happen? I mean, think about these homeschool groups that can get together and say, oh yeah, we have all these homeschoolers in here. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's fine.
Wait a second. Hold on, I'm interrupting. I apologize because I'm going to forget it. All right. You got a better memory than me. And I never smoked weed. And so anyway, here's the.
I didn't either, Ed.
Okay. Ed, how come you don't forget nothing? Where have you seen, as you travel through the state, charter school analyst, education expert, where have you seen funds not properly go? Is it that difficult to find in a charter or private school, or is it that easy to find?
I think it would be that easy. I think there's always going to be waste, fraud, and abuse. Even the best charter schools, you're always going to be able to cut things here, get a more efficient vendor or cheaper vendor here. I mean, there's always things that you might not intentionally be spending money on, but then you can get better and better and better. I'm just worried. I'm just concerned as a citizen, as a tax-paying citizen, which I do pay my taxes, Ed, even though I complain about it. But what I worry about is these private schools, they pop up. They're actually not teaching kids. Homeschoolers that are really not homeschooling their kids. They're going to the beach every day. They're going to the park. They're watching TV all day. are we really getting the bang for our buck? And how do we make sure that our taxpayer dollars are used accordingly?
Does your students have to take an end of the year course?
Yes.
Okay.
No, not a course, a test.
Okay, a test.
Yes.
But you still test them throughout the year.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So to me, it's the end result. If you think that, well, they're not being properly policed, and you may be right, but yet if the students are still passing, I mean, who am I to judge?
So then
all students, but there may be some that are like not, but that's just me.
So then what do you do for private schools? Because they don't have to take the FAST test like our students do. Or well, I think they do. They don't have to take the EOCs if they don't want to, I think. But I think they
measure them with the same learning and the same test, because we're told that the private schools are doing way better than the public school education system, especially by those going into colleges. You look at the remedial courses, which are pretty much the same. 45% can't take remedial courses. Yeah, I was probably one of those after I got out of high school, but whatever that is. So I don't know if I can take it right now anyway, but what I'm getting at is take a look at the private schools, also find out where money's going to make sure but that's almost like the view is we police ourselves, where you've got a board that you better hope isn't on the take and I've seen a lot of private schools police themselves. They don't need the government coming in and doing it for them, saying, here's the amount of money going to, and if we can show an end result, and if they have to do the same type of testing, may not be the same test, but they're still doing the same type of testing. Like like a certain college may teach different or a view of different topics, but it may not be the same. But sometimes some do better than the others. That could be depending on one's partying too much, one's on studies too much, whatever. But if they're all coming out, hey, still about 80-85% passing, then you've got bragging rights going on.
Right.
So that is how I look at it. I don't know how you properly police it unless someone is going to be a whistleblower going, hey, that the Lindsay Randall private school for women trying to learn how to sew better, whatever. I don't know. If the numbers are going down, we need to find it. I think those should be reported to the state. I think it's just bragging rights. They should be reported to the state.
Yeah.
Or am I off?
I mean, that's fair. No, that's fair. I think that it's a challenge when you have different private schools. Let's say one private school is focused on STEM, another private, and that's charter schools too, but right. One focus is on STEM. One is a school for autistic students. And so then you're trying to fit all these schools in this one mold. I think it's hard. I don't know what the solution is, Ed, for it all.
If parents are involved, and we see this, I'm not discounting all the parents in private schools, single, divorced, whatever, is married. What I'm saying is it's the parent. I know a lot of divorced parents that do just as good with their kids than married parents. That's just the way it is. So I kind of break that stereotype. Now, the private schools, I am assuming in the charter schools, parents are probably more involved than you have seen in the public school, right?
Yes.
Okay. If that is the case, do they not monitor their kids probably a little bit better, but they reside on the teacher or the school to inform them of the grades? And unless the parents are sitting back on, I think the grades are fake. By the way, I've heard those accusations before. Can't prove it, but I've heard them. Then if you got a parent, and this is just me, and you jump in where I'm off on this one, if a parent has a student where they're in 4th or 5th grade and the parent goes, I'm putting them back in because I feel the discipline's better and they're learning, that also is a true barometer. Now, the parents taking the kid out of the private school, I'd like to know why. Like as they would take them out of the public school. I want to know certain statistics. Do you not believe your son or daughter is learning well? I don't have a problem. Well, that sounds like a little bit of government. No, I don't have a problem because it's kind of like saying, well, we shouldn't use race identity politics. When it comes to polling, I want to know how certain groups are. I want to know how well the black community is doing when it comes to tax cuts. I want to know how well the black community is doing, the white community, the Jewish community. I want to know how different communities are doing. And when they're all doing real well, that means something's selling properly. When they're not, let's figure it out. Right. You know what I'm saying? I got no problem with that. I just don't want to use it as a political wedge issue to create certain groups or create victims out there. But I would want to know why a parent or somebody's doing well or they're not doing well.
Yeah. Or if a school's doing well, or if it's a school's doing well or not doing well. Or I'd be really curious to see how many private schools have significantly jacked up their tuition since the ESA bill took effect, because that's what I'm
on it. Explain this to the audience what you're talking. I understand. Explain what you're talking about.
So yeah, as a taxpayer, you get the money follows the child now. So
Right.
let's say you have two children, they each get what is it, $8,000, $9,000 a student. So you get to take that money and you get to apply that to either homeschooling or you get to apply that to private school. If
Correct.
you're in a charter or a regular public school, you don't have to use that from Step Up for Students. You don't, it just automatically just shows up. So we don't have to worry about that. However, when you are putting that money into that $9,000, let's say, into,
Education savings for kids.
yes, your education savings account, when you put that towards your tuition for XYZ school, how much more, let's say they've been charging $9,000 every single year for the past 5 years. And then all of a sudden, magically, now it's up to $15,000 a
Well,
year.
why would they do that? Costs go up with inflation, costs go up with building materials,
Costs
costs go up
definitely
with
go.
costs to keep teachers around.
Right. However, they also know that these people are, these parents are getting free money essentially. And so then they can still afford it. They might be able to afford now, still they can afford it's less money for them every year that they would have to pay, but it's still something. So I would be very curious to see how many of these private schools have jacked that up significantly, because obviously you're going to have to increase it. The inflation, you're going to have to try to also compete with
Why would
public
they jack it up?
schools.
I mean, outside of the main reasons I just why would I mean if it's going to listen, the idea of private school tuition vouchers, I've said this for 15 years, was to never pay for education. It was to help pay for it. In other words, the adjective help pay for education. That's kind of like you get a certain scholarship, you get a certain amount of money for a scholarship program. That doesn't cover all your college scholarship. You could win a few of them. It just helps pay for the amount that you got to pay for college. I listen. What I'm asking is that if the parents are still paying that amount of money, that amount of money still goes to the private school. Outside of the very issues we brought up, why would the cost go up then?
Well, it's dollars and cents. They're a business like anybody else. They might be a nonprofit, but it's still a business. So they want to jack it up. And then that also can help them with their capital campaigns if they're trying to build a
Sure.
gym, if they
They
want
want
to
to
increase
retirement. Yeah,
retirement. Like
no, but
not it's
you
not all
sound like,
bad.
hey, we need to take precaution. That's why I was asking. Is there
Right. Well, also if they're going to have to, usually the private school teachers are paid a significant amount less than a public school teacher. So
Sure.
if you want to increase those salaries, that would be good. But I'm just saying that I think that there could be some abuse going on in that realm, but I don't know. I don't have the data behind that, but I would be interested to see the percentage of increase across the board with private schools.
It's a fair discussion. I am this issue. I'm just all over the map on because we could spend an hour, which we're not going to. We could spend an hour and a half. Teachers union sending me hate mail. There's not enough public. Well, just tell me how much flipping public education money you need, and let's go from there. They
Right.
won't give you that. And everything is, even when DeSantis, the governor, gave out raises, they still couldn't compliment him at
No.
all on that
No.
one. And
No.
then you're great. You bring up a good point about the unions and do teachers. I mean, I understand. Listen, I got a lot of conservative teachers going, I've got to be a member of the union. It's just the way it is. I
Yeah.
don't begrudge you for doing that.
No,
And then we can always
absolutely
get
not.
into, well, it's the parents that suck. Then the parents say, well, no, it's the teachers that suck. Oh boy. Or my student is my son or daughter isn't properly learning. Listen, I've had mentally slow. I have a brother who's one of my close friends. My brother he's mentally slow, but what's cool about him, he thinks everybody else is mentally slow. That's great about my brother. And he's cool
Case
with
could be
anything.
made, Ed. Case could be made.
Yeah, case can be made with
Have you looked at Congress recently?
right. But because their son or daughter may not be able to adapt with, let's say, those that are not have special needs. Okay, it's just the way it is. It's the teacher's fault. I'm sorry. It's not the parents' fault. It's just the learning capacity.
Yeah.
That's all. It's nobody's fault. We shouldn't have to get angry about it out there as well. And I mean, there is so much. I mean, listen, I've done stories where I've said I don't think second graders should be on a flipping bus with 6th and 8th graders because of the mentality.
agree.
And there's a lot we could discuss here, and we had a lot of problems that we've created, people, and not just the government. Parents have just been, well, I mean,
Laissez-faire.
yeah. That's like this whole social media bill we talked about. I don't want social media being my parent. I think you could be a good parent if the parent's there. And I have YouTube for kids or Facebook for kids and properly whatever. I mean, many of you have to put your son or daughter off to a school anyway, so somebody's parenting them while you're not there. There's got to be a partnership.
Yeah.
And the question is, do you see enough parents getting involved? That's the real big question.
Right. And I think, you can have a great school, but if you don't have parents that are involved, you can only go so high as far as the success goes, because ultimately in my opinion, education starts and ends at home with the parents or guardians.
You got hold on, maybe interrupt you. You got 800 students. How many of those parents, don't have to give me names, how many of those parents percentage wise do you think are involved?
We have
good or bad?
We have 11. We actually have 1,100 students.
1,100.
So I would say the percentage, I'd say 30% are very actively involved.
Okay. Let's do a poll. Not very. How many are actively? Let's do that. Not very active, just like actively involved.
50%.
What happened to you? Why not the other 50?
They have work. They have, they have lives.
Do they? That's not a problem, but it's not because they don't want to get involved. They trust you to put out a product and they're happy with what they see, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Now, is there something, well, man, what happened to the 50% of they're not involved? No, they send the kids to your old school. It's kind of like saying, I have a financial advisor. I don't have to look at every day how my stock portfolio is. I trust him to do it. We may get involved once or a few times during the month to talk about certain things. Is that actively involved? Yeah, but I don't have to be daily involved. I think it says something when they got a school like yours who's kicking butt, where the parents don't have to be involved 24/7. That says wonders about, that's just in my view.
Right.
It says wonders. Now, if they're not involved and they should be, different story.
That's a different story. And when I say, like, they might still participate in showing up for a football game or showing up to our golf tournament, things like that. But when they're like inside the school, that's what I'm talking about the 50%. Also, I do think that we like to ask for money too, because we are always fundraising. So if you're not going to participate, stroke us a check. But you're not going to participate, do this.
But you're proving results, and when there's results there, people donate.
Yes,
as they should. I always prove results. I need to put out a tip. Hold on, my tip jar. I need to put out there.
Right. Here you go. Ding.
So
there's 25 cents.
All right. Don't forget to catch the radio show heard all throughout Florida, the Ed Dean Radio Show, morning 6 to 9 on Talk Radio WBOB, syndicated throughout Florida, but also you can download the app, listen to us mornings from 6 to 9 at WBOB.com. Lindsay Randall. All right. Good topic. Good discussion.
Ed
all right.
Dean. It's always
Subscribe,
a pleasure.
like our page, subscribe it, Florida Daily on Facebook.com. Go to FloridaDaily.com. Subscribe. You got to Google. We don't charge anything. We're not going to ask you for your information. Subscribe, like our page, all that kind of stuff as well. So the Florida Daily Show right here on FloridaDaily.com.